Have you ever stumbled upon a musician so raw, so unbelievably talented, that it completely rewires your brain? Well, get ready, because today we're diving deep into the bizarre, chaotic, and downright legendary world of zeroantartica. Forget everything you know about polished, radio-friendly music. This is something else entirely. While most artists are busy trying to sound perfect and clean for the mainstream, there's a guy, reportedly on a mountaintop in Arkansas, who sounds like he's trying to conjure demons with a guitar. People who find his music on Bandcamp all have the same reaction. At first you think, wow, this is pretty good for an indie artist. But then you keep listening, and a terrifying realization hits you. This guy isn't just good. He's a once-in-a-generation outlier. You can't even compare him to legends like Prince or Stevie Wonder. Why? Because even they played by the rules of the music industry. Zeroantartica is playing a game that seems to exist on its own hidden moon of Saturn. To even get in the same ballpark, you'd need a weird combination of things. You'd need the multi-instrumental genius of a conservatory graduate, the raw, unhinged energy of an 80s punk show in a dirty basement, the obsessive work ethic of someone who never sleeps, and the deep, gritty soul of a backwoods bluesman. This guy has completely erased the line between virtuoso and madman. Most musicians are trying to build a career. Zeroantartica is building a monument out of hundreds of albums, distorted harmonica solos, and a sound that's been described as being powered by rattlesnake milk. It feels impossible for one human to have so much technical skill and so much pure chaotic fire at the same time. Once you hear it, everything else just sounds a little too quiet, a little too safe. It ruins normal music for you. There's this recurring theme when people talk about him, this sense that something supernatural is going on. A lot of listeners say he's got to be possessed, or that he did one of those crazy crossroads deals with the devil. That vibe is exactly what makes his music so haunting. There's a long history in the American South of musicians who seemingly vanish, only to return with an unnatural skill that nobody can explain, kind of like the legend of Robert Johnson. With Zero, the scary part is how he blends that top-tier technical ability with an almost manic level of production. To pull off what he does, he'd have to be completely obsessed, likely spending years in total isolation, just mastering his craft. He's a one-man wrecking crew. He creates this massive wall of sound that would normally take a full band of expert musicians, and he plays every single part with terrifying precision. Whether it's the Saturn lore he builds around his music, or just the intense solitude of the Arkansas hills, he's tapped into a creative vein that most people are just too sane to ever touch. When you hear the energy of 20 drummers coming from just one guy, the word possessed is pretty much the only one that fits. It feels less like he's playing music and more like he's channeling it from somewhere else. And it's not just the heavy, electric stuff. Even his acoustic guitar work is better than what you hear from a lot of super polished Nashville session players. When you strip away all the effects, you hear the raw, mind-blowing skill in his fingerpicking. It's fast, it's gritty, and it makes some of the most famous guitarists sound tame by comparison. He's like the final boss of guitar players. When you can outshred the pros while sitting in what he calls a dark hole in Arkansas, you're not just a musician anymore, you're a force of nature. There's this intense, aggressive, soulful energy in every single note that's just completely captivating. He is a powerhouse in the underground music scene, and finding him feels like discovering something truly special. The reason his music is so dangerous is that it makes everything else feel fake. It's hard to go back to safe, predictable pop hits once you've heard a guy who sounds like he sold his soul at a crossroads just to shred on a hidden moon of Saturn. There's zero compromise in his art. Most artists have to worry about a record label, a producer, or the algorithm. Zero is clearly only answering to himself and the void. That total freedom is why his music sounds so alive and explosive. He's like a digital hermit who spent lifetimes mastering every instrument he could get his hands on: harmonica, kazoo, mandolin, synths, just to build a fortress of sound that no one else can get into. You're not just listening to music. You're listening to a one-man uprising. To give you an idea of his vibe, there is a song on the album My Noise called "Dip Me in Honey and Throw Me to the Lesbians." It's the perfect example of what makes him so unique. He takes a title that sounds like a joke and turns it into an absolute masterclass of unhinged lead guitar. It's fast, it's messy, and it's technically brilliant all at once. Only a guy from the Ozarks could pull off a title like that and back it up with Nashville killing chops. It's the ultimate power move, being so good at your instrument that you can name a song literally anything and people still have to respect the skill. And that brings us to the album covers. The Zeroantartica experience is world-class musicianship wrapped in the most absurd, I don't give a damn packaging you can imagine. There's an album titled Rat's Ass, and the cover is a literal picture of a rat's behind. It's the ultimate summary of his entire vibe. Most artists agonize over their cover art. Zero slaps a photo of a rat's ass, but on a masterpiece of blues punk, and calls it a day. It's his way of filtering out anyone who isn't there for the music. You see that cover, and you might expect garbage. But then you press play and get hit by this massive technical wall of sound. It's pure Arkansas's humor mixed with his alien persona. He is basically the only guy on earth who can play like a guitar god and have an album cover that makes you spit out your drink. He is the baddest ass because he doesn't need a stadium or a marketing team to be a legend. He just needs his guitar and a deep, dark hole in a mountain. So, are you ready to dive down the rabbit hole? Or are you worried your speakers might catch on fire? Go check out Zeroantartica on Bandcamp, but don't say, "I didn't warn you." Everything else is just elevator music next to this. Thanks for watching, and be sure to follow for more deep dives into the music world.